Ladies and gentlemen, today our topic is what is democracy? In this topic, we will talk about criteria for a democratic process and its rationale. What is democracy? All of us have goals that we cannot attain by ourselves. Yet, we might attain some of these by cooperating with others who share similar aims. You and several hundred other persons agree to form an association. At the first meeting, one of the participants is asked to draft a constitution, which you would then bring to a later meeting for consideration. In accepting this task, the person who writes the first draft constitution says something like the following: I believe I understand the goals we share, but I'm not sure how we should go about making our decisions. For example, do we want a constitution that entrusts to several of the ablest and best informed among us the authority to make all our important decisions? That arrangement might not only ensure wiser decisions but spare the rest of us a lot of time and effort. The members overwhelmingly reject a solution along these lines. One member argues, on the most important matters that this association will deal with, no one among us is so much wiser than the rest that his or her views should automatically prevail. Even if some members may know more about an issue at any given moment, we are all capable of learning what we need to know. Of course, we'll need to discuss matters and deliberate among ourselves before reaching our decisions. To deliberate and discuss and then decide on policies is one reason why we are forming this association. But we are all equally qualified to participate in discussing the issues and then deciding on the policies our association should follow. Consequently, our constitution should be based on that assumption. It should guarantee all of us the right to participate in the decisions of the association. To put it plainly, because we are all equally qualified, we should govern ourselves democratically. The views set forth by the main speaker accord with the prevailing view. One elementary principle here is that all the members are to be treated as if they were equally qualified to participate in the process of making decisions about the policies the association will pursue. Whatever may be the case on other matters, in governing this association, all members are to be considered as politically equal. Criteria for a democratic process. Is it possible to identify some criteria? Robert Dahl has identified 5 such standards: effective participation, voting equality, enlightened understanding, control of the agenda, and inclusion of adults. The author elaborates these 5 criteria further. First of all, effective participation. Before a policy is adopted by the association, all the members must have equal and effective opportunities for making their views known. Voting equality. Every member must have an equal and effective opportunity to vote, and all votes must be counted as equal. Enlightened understanding. Each member must have equal and effective opportunities for learning about the relevant alternative policies and their likely consequences. Control of the agenda. The members must have the exclusive opportunity to decide how and what matters are to be placed on the agenda. And fifthly, inclusion of adults. All adult permanent residents should have the full rights of citizens, or at any rate, most of the adult citizens. Now, why these criteria? What is the rationale of this criteria? Rationale also provides the rationale. In his view, each of these criteria is necessary if the members are to be politically equal in determining the policies of the association. If some members are given greater opportunities than others for expressing their views, their policies are more likely to prevail. The criterion of effective participation is meant to ensure against this result. Equality in voting. Suppose that the votes of different members are counted unequally. Votes are assigned a weight in proportion to the amount of property a member owns, and members possess greatly different amounts of property. If all the members are equally well qualified to participate in the association's decisions, why should the votes of some be counted for more than the votes of others? The principle of political equality assumes that the members are all equally well qualified to participate in decisions, provided they have adequate opportunities to learn about the matters before the association by inquiry, discussion, and deliberation. The third criterion, gaining enlightened understanding. It was set forth in 431 before Christ era BCE by the Athenian leader Pericles in a famous oration commemorating the city's war dead. Pericles said, "Our ordinary citizens, though occupied with the pursuits of industry, are still fair judges of public matters, and instead of looking on discussion as a stumbling block in the way of action, we think it an indispensable preliminary to any wise action at all. The interests of the largest property owners, they say to you, are really more important than the interests of the others. They propose that at the general meetings, the members can only discuss and vote on matters that have already been placed on the agenda by an executive committee. And membership on the executive committee will be open only to the largest property holders. It means control of the agenda by largest property holders. Most of the members of the association reject this proposal because it violates the principle of political equality. The fourth criterion, final control over the agenda rests with the members as a whole. The fifth criterion will be discussed in upcoming sessions. No state has ever possessed a government that fully measured up to the criteria of a democratic process, as with other associations. None is likely to. The criteria provide highly serviceable standards for measuring the achievements and possibilities of democratic government. They are as useful as ideal standards can ever be. They can serve as guides for shaping and reshaping concrete arrangements, constitutions, practices, and political institutions. When we try to apply several criteria, they are likely to sometimes conflict with one another, and we'll have to make judgments about trade offs among conflicting values.